What up? It's at St. Lauren 57, sober, celibate, and saved. So, something I want to talk about super quick that, it's a really important topic to me. For one, I'm a woman. For two, I'm in a program of women and children. For three, I've suffered domestic violence. I've suffered sexual abuse. Um, I've been disrespected in relationships. I don't think there's a single, well, yeah, I don't have not only a healthy father figure, but I have never had a healthy relationship with a man. There's not been a single man who treated me the way I deserve. There's not a single man that had a healthy commitment to me. There's not a single man who has had a successful commitment to me. In one way, shape, or form, cheating most definitely, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, lies, secrecy, financial instability, lack of, all of those things have taken place right in my life. And I had my direct father figure was no better, honestly. And so I definitely spent a lot of time in very unhealthy relationships. I disrespected myself. I allowed disrespect. I didn't have a healthy self-esteem, right? Or a healthy self-worth for a very long time. And something that I'm being very observant now, being the fact that I'm celibate. Um, and I plan on staying that way till God brings Mr. Man into my life, whenever, if that is even to come, because I just refuse. Um, I lost my whole entire life because of, I partook in obviously the downfall, but I definitely lost everything due to someone's lack of communication and commitment. And so I think some women these days, I think that we have an unhealthy definition of being alone. I think that when we're alone, we think that we're unworthy, that we're unlovable, that we are less than other women, that we are less than other couples. And it's just not the case. It's important to be able to get past the yearning of the flesh and be comfortable with sitting by yourself. And it's most definitely difficult because, of course, I think by nature as women, we want a partner, we want a family, we want to have a companion. I also feel like as a part of society and a part of just tradition and in the roles of life, what we're supposed to go to school and get with somebody, get married, and make babies, right? Like that's like an old school tradition. But that's the thing is, we're awaiting this relationship that we can build um build trust, have love, have safety, have comfort, have stability, have security, and just all types of things, right? And so I do notice, being in the season of life that I'm at, and not only do I not notice it like objectively, like outside of myself, but also subjectively, as I what's the word, dissect kind of like this thought process, I dissect these feelings, I realize, I think that a lot of women really have a hard time being by themselves, and it's hard to get past the yearning for like a partner, because we have this unhealthy core belief, and even if it's not the direct definition of what alone is, but we have this unhealthy core belief to the word of just the space of being alone, um, not having someone saying good morning, not having someone to help carry the weight, not having someone to pick us up when we're down, not having someone to hug us or love on us, to be in a partner's arms, to be comforted by a partner. When the world gets heavy and we don't have anyone else to like try to help take the weight off of our shoulders. Like when you really are in a place where you are all alone. And I mean, alone also gets confused with being like having an independent season of your life. Like, you know what I mean? And I think it's scary because as women, you know, I'm sure many of us, including myself, like I wish I knew then what I knew now, but I would have never known then what I know now, because I grew up with a very, very unhealthy example in the direct home, and I also was a very unhealthy like product of my environment, and I also had a very unhealthy self-esteem, and I, what was attractive to me, on the outside, I don't think I thought so much about the inside. It was just like, oh, someone like me could have something like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the things that are like what we're physically attracted to, right? Um, and just like having an unhealthy example of like, how do you go about finding the right partner? Like, not just like the bare minimum of not just like, oh, there's lots of different things, right? And being able to sit with yourself is incredibly difficult. Um, Heartbreak is awful. And I'm sure, like myself, many of us don't have the greatest um, relationship with our fathers. Maybe there's an unhealthy relationship with our mothers as well. And this leads to us yearning for protection and yearning for companionship to like nurture us, and like yearning for someone to want to be there and want to help us. And not only that, when we have children, those relationships fail. I mean, I'm pretty sure that majority of us want a home. We want a home where we can have, like the companionship and the partnership, but also the family aspect to that. You know what I'm saying? And then just like live life, like build from there. Like it's almost like that's a huge part of feeling complete as a woman, is by having a partner. And but I do notice I notice that it's very hard, especially like, for me coming out of a just meant just a total mental breakdown from just this huge heartache, this huge heartbreak of mine. And I mean, and then the fact that I have substance use in my past, so I know what that's like too. Like I know what it's like to be coming down into the reality of things and no longer having that substance to carry you through, and then seeing what you got yourself into. And then, sobriety not only brings on, priorities and responsibilities, it brings on like a new perspective of like the person you attached yourself to. And yeah, and then, just that cycle of insanity. But being alone is, and it does get lonely. Like it is difficult, because I feel like as women, we attach so much of our worth to a relationship. We attach so much to our worth. Like, I feel like that's why it's hard for women to talk about failing relationships. I feel like that's why it's hard for women to talk about, and I mean, you're not supposed to necessarily divulge isn't the word, but you're not necessarily supposed to like tell the world about, when you're in a marriage or you're in a committed relationship. Like, you obviously have trusted friends, trusted, you know what I'm saying, people that you can communicate about, and hopefully you can communicate with your partner. But, we all know that there are hard times in relationships, and so then we, either communicate with family members or whatever about the situations. But also, I do find, even especially for myself, because I've been there, where I don't talk about I don't have a safe place to talk about failing relationships, or to talk about being cheated on or being left, or the things, because it's like it's embarrassing, because I have attached my worth to someone else's choices. So when they cheated on me, that means I'm ugly. that means that I'm worthless. That means that I'm not good enough. That means that every other woman out there in the world is more deserving than me. That means that I'm just this disgusting, ugly, no good, worthless, like, and it feels embarrassing to take that on, and it's hurtful. Like, it's so incredibly hurtful. And then there's also like the factor of like, I've had to experience abortions and miscarriages by myself with absolutely no comfort and support. And so just, I've been abandoned. I've been completely abandoned by men, right? And I've been completely like disrespected, whether it was like they body shaming me or some form of cheating or some form of adultery or unfaithfulness in a relationship, right? Like, it feels so embarrassing and hurtful. Like, as women, our worth, when a man chooses even to like entertain other women's social media, when men entertain other women, just in a line at the store, when men entertain looking at pornography, it's not something that's been agreed upon or something that's been introduced into the room, when men, and when men aren't there for you when you are, slaving away at work. You come home and you've just got out of school, or you've just had a long day at work, and now you have to cook, and now you have to clean, and now you have to do the laundry. The fact that, we put our worth in the fact that when I come home, my man doesn't want to do anything for me. Like, it's embarrassing. It makes me feel embarrassed, and it makes me feel pain. Like, it makes me feel hurt. And I think a lot of us women do that. So that's what is so unfortunate, is because, and then also there's the control factor, right? Like, when we get put in domestic violence, or, when we're with narcissists and you're in a relationship with someone, and it's like, you want to protect this relationship, and you want it to work, and you feel like you love them, and you don't want to tell anybody about the bad things that person is doing. And even though other people might see it, they might hear it, it's like you protect that other person. And it's at the same time, you're constantly protecting that person when you don't get to talk about things, right? Because it hurts you. And so I just was thinking about it this morning. It's like, how unfortunate is it that we put so much of our worth into relationships, and even the failing ones, and then we can't talk about it because we're embarrassed. We're embarrassed to talk to another woman who might have a good relationship, or who we might feel inferior to, and we're afraid to talk about, because maybe that woman will feel like, oh, well, if he was with me, he wouldn't be doing that. And it's just crazy. Like, that's, what is honestly difficult being put in a community of women, because, like, there's so many things in society that try to make us turn against one another, right? When we could really, it's so important to have a sisterhood as an adult. It's really important. And I grew up having a lot more guy friends than girlfriends. And I just kind of like identify more with like the lollygagging of like, a brothership, or, like just being more like, I like identifying more and like kind of just like kicking it with the guys better, but it's really important to have healthy relationships with women. It's really important to have a healthy community, a healthy circle, you know what I'm saying, of women that you can trust, like-minded women with the same morals and values, who you can divulge this information to, because otherwise you just feel alone. And then now you're projecting all of your insecurities not only into the relationship but into friendships, and then and it's horrible. It's horrible, man. The life of a woman is so incredibly difficult. And as hard as it is to be alone, it doesn't mean that you're worthless. It doesn't mean that you're ugly. It doesn't mean that every other woman deserves more than you. It doesn't mean that, the pretty ones get cheated on too. Okay. And the successful ones get cheated on too. And that's the thing is, as women, we really put so much of our own, like the reflection of myself is put into like how well my man is taken care of. And the thing is too, is you would think that how well you treat your man is a huge part of what will keep him, right? And that's the thing is, anyone who doesn't want to be kept won't be. And anything that you're dealing with and anything that you're putting up with, he will go to somebody else and tell somebody else a story about you. And then that girl, and it might seem to you like that other woman is going to get more respect or going to get more of him, but it's all a show. It's all a show, because there will always be somebody who will believe a man's story of someone else, right? Until you are able to get that observation and build that rapport yourself, but, and this goes for obviously men and women, but I'm speaking from a woman's perspective. But a man who's going to cheat on one will cheat on the other. Like, it has nothing to do with our self-worth, has nothing to do with our value, it has nothing to do with who we are. But people who have unhealthy coping skills for their own self-worth will indulge in unfaithfulness and will indulge in I can't think of the word, but they will indulge in cheating behaviors. And they, you know what I'm saying, because that's a lot of unhealthy coping skills. That's a lot of unhealthy things that they've picked up, whether in society, depending on what circle they keep, what circle they're a part of, depending on the relationships that they saw growing up. And the thing is, too, it's very hard for some men to communicate. And there are some things that women need and some things that men need. And when men are unhealthy and they don't know how to support the relationship they're in, and they don't know how to communicate it, and they don't know how to ask for it, then they do tend to indulge in pornography. They tend to indulge in, scrolling on other women's social media. They do tend to indulge in conversing with other women, especially if they don't know how to fix and repair, and they don't have the patience nor the tools to partake in counseling, or, if they don't have the ability to really commit and really be able to be faithful and care about their partner, they won't be able to communicate those things to a partner, and they feel like they'll only be able to communicate it. Like, they need that instant gratification because they don't know how to get that from the home, right? Especially if, the woman, if their traumas are triggering another woman's, like their partner's traumas, you know what I'm saying? Then it just becomes a clash. And then men start looking outside of the relationship, right? And there are women who do that as well. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I'm speaking from a woman's perspective, but like, it's not the celibacy part that's hard, and maybe it's just because literally my whole entire soul was attached to this human being, right? Like, every single part of my, every thread of my body, every cell, every atom was completely indulged in this human, right? I did all I could do. And I mean, you can always do better, right? But I know I did my best. Like, I know I provided, and I know I protected, and I know I produced, you know what I'm saying? And I did put a lot of my worth and my self-esteem in what he was willing to give me, what he wasn't. And that's what I put in a lot of my past relationships, right? But just speaking from this most recent one is but celibacy, I just refuse. I refuse to be an object. I refuse to be a moment. I refuse to be in anything that is of not any importance. I refuse to be insignificant again. I refuse to be insignificant. I refuse to do all the work myself. I refuse to have someone not care enough about my livelihood. I refuse to have someone not care enough about me as a mother. I refuse to have someone not care about me as a woman. I refuse to have someone not care about me as a friend. I refuse to entertain anything less than what I deserve, right? And I've had my fair share of fun and 4 relationships, lots of just young, youthful things, right? And even just single times were single times, but it never was fulfilling. A relationship would be fulfilling, but a healthy relationship, something that is like something that's going to add to me and not take it away, something that's going to add to my family and not take it away, something that is going to vibe with me and it's going to elevate me more, like it's going to put me on a higher vibration than where I'm at. And it's just like, and yeah, it does feel lonely. It does feel lonely when you feel like, when you're left like that, because it can feel like embarrassing at times, because then everyone looks at you like, well, in my sick head, right, because of my my unhealthy upbringing and my unhealthy like core beliefs, right, um like I'm the ugly one, I'm the fat one, and even when I wasn't fat, like am I not pretty enough? Like, what am I not doing enough? Like, what am I doing that makes you not want to commit? Like, what am I doing that makes you run away? What am I not doing so you don't feel comfortable to talk to me? Like, and you know what I'm saying? And that's a lot of weight to carry. That's a lot of weight to carry, and it starts to show in the relationship, and it pushes them away. It most definitely pushes men away because they don't know how to deal. They already don't know how to deal with their feelings. They already don't know how to communicate. And now you're making it about you. And men, unhealthy men will be selfish and not see that their lack is hurting you, and you are making it your fault. You're making it, and they'll say where you're being selfish because it's all about you, but they don't understand is how much you love them and how like tied you are and how much of your worth and that's unhealthy. So it's very important to sit in the alone time. You got to build your confidence. You got to build your self-worth. You got to have a healthy self-esteem. You have to be okay with yourself. Like, I have to be okay with myself like this. Hair not done, body out of shape, clothes I don't really want to wear, shoes I don't really want to wear. Like, but that's where I have to humble myself and just be literally at the bare bones of who I am. And I really have to sit and I have to know that it's not about my outside. It's not about my hair color. It's not about it's not about my weight. It's not about my body. Like, it's not about the shoes I wear. It's not about how well kept I am, right? Which is obviously personal hygiene is important. That's not the same thing, right? But I also am in a place where, where I'm really living off of, you know what I'm saying? I'm living off of nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm living off of nothing. And that's when, surrendering my whole life, I'm living off of nothing. I have to sit with exactly who I am. And I am happy with who I am. Like, I really am. And it just takes time to cut that tie between who I am and what I think I need to look like to be worth anything. Because it's like I'm not even considering who I am when I think about my worth. You know what I'm saying? It's so sickly tied to other people's perception and if other people will stay and if other people will love me. You know what I'm saying? Not just getting knocked up, being left, not just, being used and being left, and not just someone staying with you and pretending and being left. You know what I'm saying? Or not just taking care of somebody and going to work and then they're cheating on you when you're not home. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I've had that, in almost every relationship, right? I've had I have endured some sort of like disrespect, right? And some sort of like unhealthiness in every single relationship. And that's why, it's only 4, because for the longest time, I just knew what it was. And I just didn't want to deal, right? But also because I'm a monogamous person. Like, I want a commitment. I want to just, I do want to just be married and have a family and live my best life. Like, I don't really want for more than that other than to be stable and secure, healthy, have a place, and just have a family. That's all it really is for me. Whatever the struggles, life is going to always life, and that's fine. But gosh, would I love to have a partner by my side. Gosh, would I love to wake up with someone who loves me as much as I love them and who wants to conquer the day with me and who wants to build this and, just share laughs and traditions and all of those things, all of those, you know what I'm saying, hallmark things, right? I don't care what life brings, but how great would that be? But also it's how ungreat has it been? Well, pretty fucking ungreat. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I tied way too much of of my worth into things that either maybe they weren't ready. And that's the thing is like, there's lots of like cheating doesn't necessarily make someone a horrible person. It was a very hurtful action, but people who cheat have self-esteem issues. People who cheat are insecure. People who don't know how to make healthy choices suffer from mental health, suffer from PTSD, suffer from abuse, suffer from adverse childhood experiences. You know what I'm saying? Like a healthy person doesn't hurt people intentionally. A healthy person won't inflict pain on someone they truly love, right? But a lot of us grow up in broken homes. A lot of us suffer abuse, and a lot of us lack self-worth, self-esteem, and self-confidence. And so we end up inflicting pain on others unintentionally, right? Now, there are people who get comfortable with that, right? And even narcissists suffer from mental health, right? And that's the thing that, you would have to be like in constant counseling to realize when you're inflicting that pain and when you're controlling somebody, right? Because that's mental health. That's a result of adverse childhood experiences, that kind of control and that kind of abuse, right? That kind of sick, twisted, like sociopaths and shit like that, right? And that's mental health. But, that's where some people are able to grow through that with each other. And, because when I can only imagine, because obviously I have no experience, but when you marry someone, you're not going to be married to the same person. Like, you'll be married to the same physical body, but we all grow up. We don't stay the same. Like, if you get married to someone who's 19, 18, 21, 25, 30, like, there are these seasons of our lives, and who we are to the core will stay the same. But it's all like trial and error. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the same thing when you go to live with somebody. You get to learn someone on a whole different level when you're living in that environment. It's a very different, you get a whole different kind of human when you're in someone's personal space, right? Because then you're really there for every single moment of their life. And that is different because that's personal space. But like I said, it's just sad. It's sad how much is attached to us, how much of our worth is attached to the word alone, how much of our worth is attached to the state of being not in a relationship, and how much of our worth is attached to how well we're treated, or how much attention we get, or how long someone will stay. And as a woman, this is a very heavy burden to carry. It's a very heavy weight. And I can imagine, I'm sure men have their own realm of something like that. I can only imagine. But it's a huge part of this journey, and it's really important because I just, the whole point is I want to be a good example. Like, I would love to have a relationship, but I also would love to be able to show my kids a healthy relationship. Like, the things that I want to be able to teach my children and show my children, just because that's my own personal, like, my kids have fathers and they teach them things, and they have their own influence, and that's amazing. That's great, right? Because it's best if kids have both of their parents in their life, and, whatever village is helping raise them. But I just know, like, something that I want to make sure that I show my kids, something that I feel like would have been important and would have been constructive in my life, would have been a healthy influence, and who knows what direction I would have gone if I had that. So, but I also know how important it is for me to not continuing the cycle of insanity of being abused, or being neglected, or being abandoned, or being cheated on, or also not being strong enough, not attaching myself to somebody who needs space, somebody who isn't ready, and to be able to see that, and to let that person lead their own life, and to let that person go on their way and do whatever it is they need to do, and for me to still be okay after that. Because it's not just about having someone be there, it's also how strong I can stand on my own. It's also being able to be strong enough as a person to not attach myself to, like, oh, like their potential, right? Because how fucked up is it if someone just attached themselves to me for my potential and then I don't meet that? And then now there's all these problems because I didn't know that what potential I didn't know what bar I was supposed to reach. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an unspoken, unrealistic, expectation. So yeah, just women, anyone who's suffering, like it's hard. Like we all want love, we all want Prince Charming or whatever your orientation is, um, which is fine, which is great. I, want people to live life. So, but for me, being a monogamous, heterosexual, so straight female woman, like who doesn't want Prince Charming? Who doesn't want someone who, like, when you're carrying out the groceries, grabs them for you? Who doesn't want someone that, when, you've had a hard day to draw you bath? Who doesn't want someone to, tell you to sit down and lift up your feet? Who doesn't want someone to, like, you're getting ready and then the car is already packed and ready to go? Who doesn't want someone who will, like, you're having a hard day, takes the kids outside? Like, who doesn't want someone who will willingly spend time and to teach, to be a part of a village for children? You know what I'm saying? Like, who doesn't want someone to, like, want to share their time and like teach them something and, like, you know what I'm saying, quality time? Like, who doesn't want someone, just for all of those things, right? So I understand, but if you're like me and you've suffered domestic violence and abuse and your picker is broken, girlfriend, you need to give yourself time. You need to give yourself time. Like, I don't entertain a single thing. I have social media to say, because I've had these pictures for, like, I almost said hundreds of years. I've had, I got pictures from all the way back to, like, high school, and really it's just have those connections. But other than that, like, it's not for anything, other than to share my story, right? To share this, make my message, and to just be of service and to hopefully motivate and hopefully bring peace to somebody and have someone be able to identify in something so that maybe it will help encourage them on the road to healing. Or maybe when they're ready, they'll be like, oh, like this changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, to not take credit for changing someone's life, but man, being a part of the change that I want to see in the world, being the part of the change that I want to see so that, I have a daughter and I don't want her to ever go through the things I went through, but she will grow into her own person. She will make her own decisions. And even if she's had the healthiest of an example, there's still, the attention of the heart. And when feelings get attached to things, it's very hard to separate feelings from reality, right? And so, God forbid, even for my son, he could go through things, right? And so it's really important just to take the time for yourself. Like, sit with, the bare minimum, like the very bottom of the barrel of yourself, and build that up. Because at the end of the day, we will continue to have those relationships. We will continue to have unhealthy men. We will continue to, have more children in another unhealthy relationship, and that family will be broken, and then it will be over and over. And, we don't want to rack up the baby daddy numbers, right? We don't want to rack up the children that are separated and not put together because, you only have custody of this one and they have custody of that one, or now they're not in the same age group, so now they don't go to the same schools, or, they can never be in the home under one roof together. We don't want that for our kids, right? And blended family, however people make it work. But, but besides that, we don't want to keep damaging ourselves, because that will keep us below the vibration that we need to be on, right? That will prevent us from getting to where we need to be. So it's okay to be alone, and it doesn't mean that you're ugly. It doesn't mean that you're worthless. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough. Like, it doesn't mean that you don't meet. There is somebody out there for you, and maybe there are someones out there for you. I don't know. I'm not God. But, all I can say is, I encourage you to do the work to recognize that your worth is not, put your worth and your esteem It's not based off of how much attention you get. It's not based off of how many relationships you've been in. It's not based off of what men will talk to you or what men won't. It's not based off of what men will have stayed and what men haven't stayed. It's not based off of how much you do in a relationship and the lack of their participation. Like, it's absolutely not attached to that. And so I highly encourage you to sit with yourself. Become strong again. Build on the resilience that you already have. And be independent. And really, really allow that manifestation of your equal part to come along, right? And it will happen. I guarantee it will happen. So I just highly encourage women to sit with yourself. It feels a lot better than, trying to chase somebody every day. It feels a lot better than, the baby mama drama and, what they are. It feels way better than having to like social media stalk, or it feels way better than showing up at someone's work and having other women show up. Like, it feels way better than going on your boy's phone, on your man's phone, and finding things you don't want to find. It feels way better than laying in bed and realizing that he's been looking at pornography, but he hasn't touched you. Like, there are lots of things I've endured in all 4 of my relationships where, you know what I'm saying? And then just knowing what men do, it feels a lot better to rebuild yourself than to put your worth in your esteem in somebody else and let that break you down. So at St. Lauren 57, be safe and be kind.